Growing up, every child has dreams and aspirations. My dream and aspiration was to be a NFL pro player. Little did I know I'd be joining a sport that causes many concussions or that can lead to CTE or chronic traumatic encephalopathy. My first experience was when I was 11 years old, playing tackle football. We had a drill where there's two cones, and you were stationary in the middle, with two other teammates next to you, with all their two cones, and a player about 10 yards in front of us. The coach behind us would point to which cone to run to, and you had to protect your house/cones. I tackled someone high, helmet to helmet. We went down. I come up from the tackle, did what I had to do, protected the house, and I see fireflies in front of me, what I thought. So for the next minute or so, I would spend swatting away. Didn't bring it up or anything, ignored it, didn't know better, and didn't want to be a trouble to the coach or anyone. I would move on with my day. A couple years later, playing high school football, I would get another experience of that. While doing tackling drills again, I tackled someone low. Their knee hit my head. The back of my head hit the ground. I felt very nauseous after, so I just sat out the rest of the practice and ignored it from there. Little did I know, concussions were the most common injury sustained during competitions for almost every position in high school football, usually due to being tackled or tackling, according to Athletic Training Journal 2018. Also at the time was Calvin Johnson, who was breaking records, also a wide receiver like I was, who played for the Detroit Lions from 2007 to 2015. While breaking multiple records, he also broke multiple bones. Also experienced multiple head impacts, which caused many concussions. With having a degree from Georgia Tech, one of the top schools in the country, he realized his mental health was going and the risk of CT at that point. So he valued his mental health over the millions of dollars. He would retire about after 8 years, which is very unusual for the amount of pay he would be receiving. Talking tens of millions of dollars, he didn't see the value in it. Another example would be Junior Seau, who had a very long career, including a long career of injuries. Was drafted in 1990 by the San Diego Chargers, played all the way till 2009 for the Patriots, experienced many concussions from tackling. He says he played with many concussions during games, didn't bother him. Towards the end of his career, his family said he would act a little different. They ignored it. After he retired, that's when the family said he'd change entirely. Later on, he committed suicide, bullet to the chest, knowing that his brain had to be preserved for research so that other players didn't have to go through what he had to go through. So with that in mind, the NFL realized that CT was a real issue and concussions was a huge issue for their players and for your future generations to feel safe to play that sport. So there was injury protocols put in place. 1, concussions. There's now camera angles to check players. About 8 cameras to check every angle. If any player seems unusual, the referee will be notified and they'll check on that player, give him a logical concussion test, which is just simple questions to ask to make sure everything's all right. Also requires longer healing time. Prior, it would be good after a day. Now you need about a week to heal. Kickoffs. NFL realized that was one of the parts of the game that really meant injuries. So they added formation changes to help touchbacks now, which is the player not leaving the end zone, giving themselves up, and the ball will be put on the 25-yard line. Previously, it was put on the 20-yard line. So now there's a less chance of the ball to be ran out. With that, the kickoff rule changes that were implemented in 2018 were made permanent. In 2018, the restrictions resulted in a 35% decrease in concussions on kickoff plays when compared to the 2017 season, according to NFL Operations. Also, another focus was the tackling with the crown of the helmet. Lead in with your helmet on low tackles, or running backs lead in with the crown of the helmet so they are not tackled. Now can leave with unnecessary roughness penalty, a targeting penalty, which could ultimately lead into ejection from the game. How did these rules help the players overall? Well, quarterbacks are safer than ever now. You need clearance for all injuries now from the NFL. Referee inputs at an all-time high. A limit on the amount of contact during practices, according to Amy Anzoletti, medical doctor from kidshealth.org, 2019. Kickoff changes, which led to less injuries. Way more penalties are enforced, which and then made more fair catches happen. Also, with a tougher officiating, offensive players are penalized more than ever. No longer running backs leading with helmets. Lower tackles at this point non-existent, and more frequent ejections happening than ever. With all this led to a decrease in concussions for current players, future players, and past players that feel safe about the game that everyone loves and America loves.